Hello and welcome back to PBTV. So I've brought something very, very cool out. We didn't realise that we'd never done a video on this. I think we'd covered it in maybe a brand showcase, but we've never done a proper deep dive on it. So if you've never seen this before, this is the ASG HERA ARMS SSS edition, Milspec, many names, but it's based on its real steel counterpart, fully licensed through ASG from the HERA ARMS, and you can tell off the bat straight away that it is quite a unique build. It is, a lot of people call it a bit of a Marmite platform, but again, it's one of them things that if you do like it, it is really good. The base platform itself, the ICS gearbox and all the tech in here is absolutely incredible. So if it is something that you want to get your hands on, I definitely recommend it. But we will go through, we'll start at the front, work our way back. If you have any questions on it, by all means drop it down below and we'll try and get to you as quickly as possible. So, as always, at the front we have a very cool muzzle device at the front, a little bit unique, a little bit different to a standard burr cage, but underneath there we do have a 14mm counterclockwise thread. There is a grub screw on the bottom, as with all things on the front like that. Please make sure that you double check that that is fully unscrewed, because otherwise you are going to damage the threads and you're not going to be able to get anything on there. But putting a Spitfire on here, something sneaky beaky, very cool, and it you can almost turn this into almost a bit of a sci-fi platform rather than how it looks now. The Scottish Cat 32. Does it come in all black or only in tan? We currently only have the tan ones, but there is a full black version in the future. So currently this model has the Tamiya connection. In the future models are going to have a Dean's, but apart from that, everything else is the same. But any tan part on here, obviously the full black one, even the mag is full black. The front grip and the stock comes in a full black model, yes. Currently, we only have the dual tones in, but it gives you an idea of what it looks like anyway. So if you want to wait for the black one, that's totally fine, but I do quite like the tan and black look. It gives a little bit, it sort of breaks that silhouette a little bit, and it looks really cool. So coming a bit further back, we do have the flip-up sights. Again, these are dual purpose. Becoming more and more popular and more common is this, that when they are in their folded down position like this, you do still have almost pistol-like iron sights on here. So you have a very small one at the front, and again, castellations at the back. Flip it up, and you have your front pin that you can adjust for elevation, and then you have an aperture at the back that you can adjust for windage. Again, folding this back, you can take it to the castellations. All depends on how you want to run it. But again, running iron sights in Airsoft, it's more of a sort of rough area rather than it being super accurate. So coming to the rail itself, we do have almost a quad rail. So there is rail sections on all four sides, but as you can see, part of the side rails are taken up with the QD sling mounts. So you've got RIS all the way across the top where the iron sights are, and you have RIS all across the bottom where the grip is fitted. But on the right hand side, the RIS is just located at the front, so there's about 2 inches of rail there, and then there is a flat panel, and this little hole in the middle is actually a QD sling point. So if you get the little button top points, you can drop that in the back. If you look as well on the grip, there's one there. Coming to the back to the rear stock, there's one here, and matching ones on the other side as well. If QD's not your thing, or you're wanting something a bit more permanent rather than something you're going to take on and off all the time, you do have almost like a strap style stock system there. That one's probably more suited for a single point if you're wanting to let this dangle fully flat against the body, whereas the 2-point one, it just lets you maneuver it, keep it tight, and then drop it out when, if and when it's needed. So Reaper, one of our regulars, that is very nice. Does she have a self-diagnostic system? Yes, so I've covered the rail, covered the grip, so coming on to the receiver and internals. So this is the ICS SSS system. So yes, it has its own diagnostic system. There is a massive full spec inside the manual of this, just so you know exactly what everything's doing. But the tech inside this gearbox is absolutely amazing for what this thing can do. It is a split gearbox as well, so it's very easy to just maintain, look after, and everything like that. It has pre-cocking. It's coming out at about 340 FPS. It's got all sorts of really cool features in what is a very compact platform as well. But what we mean by self-diagnostic, This thing will not function if it thinks it's going to break itself, or it will actually tell you where the fault is. So you'll be able to tell if it's a battery fault, it has low voltage, all these kinds of things. There's loads and loads. I could just go through an absolute list of them. But again, when it comes to a self-diagnostic system, just keep the manual at hand. If it's not doing something, just check that, and 9 times out of 10, swap the battery. Maybe even it is fused at the back, so you could swap that out. But again, this thing does look after itself, and it is very, very good at doing it. So some of the other features, like what I was saying with pre-cocking, this allows you to increase your sort of snapshot ability and increase your response time. So normally, your piston sits about here. When you fire, the piston racks back, comes forward, and that's what pushes the air out. With a pre-cocking system, it sits back here waiting, and there is a round there already. So when you pull the trigger, it pushes forward, and you've almost taken away that the wind up of the gears. It's sat waiting and ready to go already. So your trigger response is absolutely incredible on this thing. You can go safe, semi, full auto as it is now, but there is an option to change this to 3-round burst. And again, in a pre-cocking system, that first round's going to zip out really, really quick, followed up by 2 more. It's pretty much all you need. Full auto's not overly necessary with this. The sort of the pinpoint accuracy and the sort of range you're going to get on this thing, that 3-round burst is absolutely incredible. It does have a 6.04 millimeter barrel, so again, accuracy is not going to be a problem, even in what is essentially quite a short barrel, coming in at about 112 millimeters. 212 millimeters. So relatively small in a barrel, but if you were wanting to extend that, we do have that 40mm thread, so you can push it out a little bit further if you want. Standard. Paul Eastwood, another one of our regulars. Good to see you back. Great to see you back. Does it take standard M4 mags? Yes. So control-wise, we've got the mag release on the right-hand side, and it does come with a standard M4 magazine. It does look quite unique because it's one of the ICS ones with the window in there. It's sort of an opaque glass type thing that you can see all the way through. So if you do fill this with BBs, it's just going to block some of the light, and basically it's almost like a little black line roughly with your BB count left. It's not going to be massively accurate. You're not going to know exactly how many you've got left, but you know roughly. And again, high cap magazines, there is a wheel on the bottom. Wind it forward. When you are winding your high caps, make sure it stays vertical, because when you're winding it like this, you're not going to put any of the BBs into the router, and it's not going to prime it properly. So with it vertically, it will catch the BBs, push it up, and there's a little spring in there, will tighten up nicely, and it will allow it to force more BBs up the tube, and you're going to get more rounds out before you have to wind it again. Can you get a drum style mag for this? Yes. So Flynn on YouTube. Yes. So with it being a standard M4 mag platform, any of the standard AEG M4 mags will fit it, as long as it is not a proprietary mag. For example, your KWAs with bolt stop systems and things like that. The mags have little buttons and stuff on it. But any standard AEG magazine will fit this. So your drum mags, your high caps, your mega mags, mid caps, low caps, your EPMs, your EPM 1Ss, all of them will just drop straight into this and work absolutely fine. And again, with it being the sort of type of system that it is, if you were wanting to run this as a sort of standalone system, throw a big drum mag with like 2,000 rounds in it, you're not going to need any more, but you're going to have a hell of a good time. Again, with the response on this, mid-caps and stuff, you will find yourself going through mags quite quick because that trigger response is really, really nice, and you really, really want to shoot it all the time. So if you're running mids, 4 or 5, you'll be fine, or just drop a high cap in it, a mega mag, something like that, and again, you can run around all day. Harry Scott, do you have the upgraded internals from the other ones? So this is the SSS one. So this is the upgraded or the Milspec SSS edition one. So this is the sort of best HERA arms that they do, with it having the diagnostic system, the pre-cocking system, the battery voltage protection, all that kind of stuff is in here. The sort of the newer one is the only thing that's changing with what I say by the newer one is the socket. The Tamiya is going to change to a T-plug or a Dean's connector. It's a little the main difference between that. It is it's easier to put together. You get less draw through the battery, so your battery's going to last very, very fractionally longer, and the connector has a longer life. Tamiya's can be a little bit finicky with the pins and everything like that. The Deans are just very, very solid. Speaking of battery compartment, one of the very, very few faults that I've had with this is it is Allen keys to take the back off to get your battery in. So you do need to make sure that you have that with you if you want to swap them out, because the actual connector is up here. So you take this off. This section here, so you have the stock and then there's a black section here. You can take this off if you want to slightly shorten the stock. Obviously, it's not going to do a massive amount, but if you just want to have that slight change, it just helps you get this thing as comfortable as possible. The actual stock itself can be taken off and swapped out for any standard AG stock if you wanted to change it out, or you just wanted the platform itself and you're not really bothered about the stock. That's totally doable. But as we've said before, that a lot of people get this because they like the setup. When it comes to the stock as well, one of the things that I've had with this one, it's not a fault with the platform, it's probably a fault with my hands, that when I come through and hold this thing, once it's in full auto, it's actually quite difficult to get to the selector and bring it back. So just be aware of it. It's you can't quite reach through enough. So if you're going to stick this on full auto, expect it to stay there for quite a while, because flicking it back to semi it's just a little bit awkward for my hands and everything like that. The Scottish Cat, what scope would you recommend for it? Depends really. Because of its size, yes, it does have the solid stock, so it doesn't immediately look like a CQB platform, but with this front end, it could quite easily be a very, very dominant platform in a sort of CQB, sort of not overly tight environment, but your standard sort of factory buildings that a lot of people play in. This thing will have a hell of an advantage with that trigger response. You're going to get your round off before someone else. So a dot sight and a magnifier is probably my go-to. A short dot might just look a bit funny. It will be incredible, but again, building or putting something together, looks is a very big aspect of it. So a cantilever with a short dot might take up a little bit too much room, but maybe a Maverick and a Ghost magnifier, or maybe a Centurion dot sight and the Ghost magnifier gives you enough space to then maybe down the line put a PEC box on here, or if you want to take up a bit more room, you could always put a torch on here. So on either side, you could just put like an X300 or an X600 on there, just something that you can scare someone going around a corner. Again, be aware with the front end, if you are putting a torch on something on the side and you're going to put a muzzle device on this, wherever the torch ends, you are going to start casting shadows. So if we put a device on here that's about this long and our torch ends here, we are going to cast a shadow across the left-hand side, and it's going to make it a little bit hard to see people on your blind side when you're cutting around corners and everything. So if you're wanting an extension, put a rail extension on, push the torch out as far as you can, and make sure the front of your platform ends at the same sort of plane as a torch. It means you're going to get more spread, more light out there, and you can then start using the torch as an aiming device rather than looking through the dot. Very, very good in CQB. What are her build materials? So the rail and the receiver are aluminium, as far as I'm aware. There will be some steel parts in it, the pins and any moving parts, triggers, everything like that. We have polymer mag. The grips are also polymer, but the actual important parts like the QD sling, the strap at the back here, screws and everything that needs to be is made out of a much, much stronger material. The stock screws, etc. are steel, because obviously they're going to get wound in and out all the time, so they need to be a bit more robust. But the aluminium in the rail and the receiver just make it that little bit lighter. Coming back to the receiver, one thing that I did, I sort of brushed past the whole thing about the split gearbox. So normally with AEGs, you have to take the whole top receiver, and the gearbox itself is a single unit, and if you want to do anything inside it, you have to split it apart. You've got gears, springs, and everything falling out everywhere. With this, just if you're doing a little bit of maintenance, or you want to pull your barrel through and just do something that is end user sort of just cleaning, when you take this apart, it splits like a real steel counterpart, so it flips forward and you can take it apart. That includes the gearbox itself. So the top part of the gearbox with the spring, the piston, your piston head and everything like that come apart, and then the lower part of the gearbox that has all your gears, your no return lever and everything like that stay in the bottom. It just means that you can get your eyes in there. If you're having problems with the self-diagnostic system, you can reset it, put it back together, and just see if that problem gets alleviated. But it just means it's very, very easy to keep this thing maintained. You can get eyes on things if you believe there's a problem, and you're not having to split it apart, take the motor out, take the gearbox out and everything like that. You can just split it in half and get eyes on and just make sure it is good to go. Paul Eastwood, is it RIS or M-LOK for attachments? This is RIS, so we've got RIS on the right, left, bottom and top. Obviously, it does look a little bit funny on the angles where we've got these gaps here. These are just sort of lightweight cut holes, so that is not M-LOK in there. We've got 20mm RIS there with a QD point for the sling. We've got RIS on the top, RIS on the bottom where the grip's attached. As I said, with the stock can be changed. This grip on the front isn't anything... not saying anything special as in attachment wise, it is just attached via the screws. So if you do take this off, you do just have a standard quad rail on the front. So if you were wanting to swap this out, if you want some different builds and you wanted to put a standard vert grip on there, that's totally doable as well. There is a covert ops sort of pack going at the moment. If you have a look on the website, you can see some bits that we've thrown together that we believe make this thing very, very cool. When is the Dean plugs version coming out? I believe they're on their way now, but again, with it being the Tamiya one, it is a very, very quick change. If you were wanting Deans on this, it's a very quick change. So if you are wanting one, it's exactly the same platform. So if you are wanting one, grab one. We've done the covert pack has a bit off. So if you wanted to get one and swap it to Deans, that is definitely an option as well. So a couple of other features I'll quickly cover. The almost Raptor style charging handle is ambidextrous. Apart from that, most of it is then right-handed dominant, but pulling that back you will find a rotary style hop. So again, they've gone for the better option when it comes to features. They're very, very stable. Once you've got this thing set up and you put in some rounds down it, 2.5s, 2.8s, this thing is going to absolutely eat them up and you're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be very accurate, very consistent, and that immediate trigger response from having the pre-cocking CQB outdoors, it's going to be absolutely awesome. But I'll quickly cover a few of the main features again, so if you do have any questions, please throw them down. It's always good to talk. I'd rather talk about what you want to do than me just waffling on about different things that it can do. So as I was saying, it's about 340 FPS out the box, so it's sitting at a really, really good point. It is just over 3 kilos, so it is weighty, but again, once it's shouldered and you're running around this thing, you're probably going to not notice that weight. We've got the 14mm counterclockwise thread for any adapters, flip-up sights, RIS all the way across the top for your optics magnifiers, all that kind of stuff. Space for torches, right, left, and the grip on the bottom. The HERA ARMS grip that's almost P90 style. I think that's the kind of thing that they took a bit of sort of the idea from, but keeping it on an AR platform. Comes with the 300 round high cap. We've got the S Gearbox, so we've got pre-cocking, self-diagnostic system, and an absolutely incredible gearbox on the go. The stock, again, it is the HERA ARMS stock, a bit of a Marmite system, but if you do like it, it is very, very comfy when it's shouldered, and you can slightly adjust the length of it by removing that black slip, the metal black part there, and then keeping the rubber stock on. 2 screws out the back, so it is a tooled entry. You do need Allen keys to get in this thing to drop a battery in. 7.4 LiPo, the SSS system, the trigger response and everything, 11.1 is not needed. You're going to have plenty of response and a really decent rate of fire with this thing just on a 7.4. But I think we have covered a hell of a lot there, and we've gone through a lot of this. But if you're wanting this or the covert pack, check it out, grab them whilst you can. I'm very much of a fan of this dual tone system, or the dual tone look, sorry, and excited for those that haven't ever seen this before. Get their hands on it and get it on a field. It is an incredible, incredible platform. But that is it for today and this week. I hope you've enjoyed that. So this is the HERA ARMS Milspec SSS edition from ASG, and we will be back on Monday at about 4 PM. As always, if there's something you want us to cover, drop us a message on Instagram. We'll throw it to the top of the list, because we can just waffle on about absolutely anything. We'll pull stuff off the shelves and talk about it all day. But if there's something you want us to look at, let us know, and we'll put it to the top of the list and make sure it gets done as quickly as possible. But if that's everything, if you're out this weekend, by all means tag us in some pictures. We'll get them shared, get them out there, and we hope you have a load of fun. But until then, I'll catch you on Monday in a bit.